Hi there, I'm Jim Thunder from Reconciliation Thunder, and this is our first video in our History for Reconciliation video series. So I'm here right now in Kinosao Sipi, also known as Norway House. And so I was thinking about what's the best way to start video series based on history. Most people would think that Canadian history begins at Confederation, 1867. But I would argue that our history, the history needed for reconciliation, needs to go back further. Some people might think 1497, when John Cabot came to Canada, but it goes even back further than that. What you see behind me is really what can be thought of as ancient infrastructure. The roadways were the lakes and the river systems since time immemorial. If you haven't heard of the term Turtle Island, Turtle Island comes from the story where North America comes from. The story goes that there was a woman of the Sky People who was looking through a hole in the sky and saw that there was something down below, and her curiosity got the best of her. She fell into the water, and all the animals were realizing that there needs to be something done, otherwise she's not going to make it. One by one, the animals went down until finally Muskrat went down, and went down so long that they thought that he had died. But sure enough, came up, and in his paw was Earth. That Earth was put on the back of a turtle, and that turtle became the land that we know today. From this story, it's where we get the name Turtle Island. So these are stories that convey one simple belief that we have about ourselves, that as Indigenous peoples, we were always here. These are our lands, these are our territories. It's also a misnomer. It's a myth to think that we didn't have societies, we didn't have legal systems, we didn't have, societal structures like constitutions. We had all of these things. Aaron Mills writes about the concept of Anishinaabe constitutionalism, for example. So the very first thing in this video is we want to set the stage to say that history didn't begin at Confederation or at Discovery. We were always here. We had lands, we had traditions, we had complex structures that ran our societies. And so it's important to know about all of these. And also, we weren't homogeneous. The word Indigenous could refer to the First Nations, all the nations that were here. It could also refer to Métis. So the Métis have their origin between First Nations and European and French settlers, birthing a distinct nation with a distinct language, Michif. And then you have the Inuit. And so you have these three people groups, and then within these people groups, there is further subdivisions. From coast to coast to coast, we have different nations that are as distinct as the nations of Europe. You have the Coast Salish, Siksika, Tsutsina, Ojibwe, Cree, Dene, Mi'kmaq, the list goes on. So it's important to get to know what is the nation that is nearest you. Get to know them. So this is our first video. This history is essential for reconciliation. So when we look at the work of the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, they gave us 94 calls to action. And it's the goal of this series that as you unpack the 94 calls to action, that this video series will fill in some of the gaps that you might have reading those calls for the first time. So again, this is Jim Thunder. If you found this video useful, please like, comment, and share. And we look forward to seeing you at the next video.